NFL teams based on their future. This will be a mix of their current contracts, their current players, and their future draft picks. So let's get right into it. And we're starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. So they got Kyler Murray. They got their quarterback of the future, they hope. He's someone who can be a little inconsistent at times, but he's still one of the best athletes at the quarterback position. And this is a team that's shown they can compete. At times, it's been a couple years since they have, but I think they're trending in the right direction. I'll put them up there because I like some of their future pieces. I like what they're building, and I think they can eventually build themselves into a decent playoff contender. And then next up's the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to be in the middle of right direction or in limbo, but they got some good pieces on offense. They drafted offense 3 or 4 straight years in the draft. They took Kyle Pitts, they took Bijan, they took Drake, and they took Michael Penix Jr. So they got a lot of offensive pieces. That defense does need some work, and from what I've seen from the offense so far, I don't think it's lived up to the expectation of having 4 straight skill guys being drafted and 4 straight drafts in the top 10. So I think I'm going to put them in limbo for now because I just think they could do so much more with what their team is. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens. The window is still wide open. They just signed DeAndre Hopkins this season, or this offseason. They still have Derrick Henry. They have control of most of their picks. They have both their first round picks for the next 2 years. And I think they already got some pieces on their team that I like. I like Zay Flowers. I like Derrick Henry on that offense. And then on that defense, you got guys like Kyle Hamilton and Lamar Jackson's MVP caliber quarterback. So I think you can do anything when you have him. I mean, you should always expect to have a Super Bowl when you have a quarterback of that caliber, and I think the Baltimore Ravens can expect that. So I think the window's wide open for them, and they can win. Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna say the same for them, but I think they're a little bit ahead of the Ravens because I just believe more in Josh Allen. I think that he's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. He is the way he uses his body and his arm and his mobility to get around and really get the yards for his team when they need it. I think he will be able to win a Super Bowl in the future. I just don't think they're a potential dynasty because I think that defense has some holes and they don't have an elite skill position player. I mean, Dalton Kincaid's good, James Cook's good, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Joshua Palmer, they're good, but you don't have a standout piece on that team, which is something they really need. Carolina Panthers. This one's interesting because they have one of the worst defenses in the league. And they had an atrocious offense at times last year. And Bryce Young did not look good for a lot of last year. But after he was unbenched, after he originally got benched earlier in the year, I think he was looking a lot better. And we start to see some of those offensive pieces come together. And I think they have the right guy as their head coach in Dave Canales. So I think they're going in the right direction. But I just don't think they are. They're definitely not there yet. The Chicago Bears. This is the example of right direction. And they're doing everything they can to rebuild this roster and do what they need to because they're bringing in tons of O linemen to help them, really quality O linemen. Joe Tooney, Ulrich Jackson, or no, not Ulrich Jackson, sorry. The Rams guy, I forgot his name. They brought in a really good center in free agency. And then they're also bringing in more pieces like Grady Jarrett on that defense. And then they got the 10th pick in this draft, and they got 2 future seconds. So I really like their future, especially since they got Ben Johnson as the head coach. And that's a guy who really helped turn Detroit around. Next up, Cincinnati. Ooh. I'm gonna say in limbo because they're a team where they have Joe Burrow, they have T Higgins, they have Jamar Chase, they have all those guys, but they really don't have a defense. But you can't not think they can do something when you have those three guys. They're always going to be in contention, and they're going to be able to score 40 plus points on you every game because that offense just has so much firepower. But they really need to find out. They need to find some defensive guys for the cheap and that workout in the draft because right now they don't have anyone on that defense. They can't pay anyone on that defense because they're paying like 60% of their salary cap to those three guys alone. And I'd be a little worried if I were a Bengals fan because it feels a little stuck right now, especially when your organization's making decisions to sign guys like Mike Gesicki to $12 million deals when you need to spend that money on the defense or other pieces to protect Joe Burrow. Next up, the Cleveland Browns. Start praying, man. Sorry, Deshaun Watson, that contract's awful. You had such a good year a year ago, made it to the playoffs, lost in the first round, but it was a real step up. And then this year it all fell back down. Deshaun Watson's terrible. He's the worst contract in the league. You're still stuck with him. And if you look at the rest of that team, outside of Myles Garrett, I don't really have any other... I don't like anybody else really on that team. I mean, you got some pieces. You got Jerry Jeudy, if that matters at all. But, yeah, start praying. The Dallas Cowboys, forever mediocre. As long as they're under Jerry Jones, or really the Jones family in general, I think they're going to be in this tier. They never make any real meaningful moves. I didn't hate their free agency. They brought in guys like Kyer Elam, Peyton Turner, Jonathan Brooks, Miles Sanders. They brought in some guys that brought in a lot of depth. But I don't think that's going to really change around what's been happening in Dallas, where they can't really do anything, even though they have guys like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. You would think a team with all those pieces would be able to thrive. But last year they just fell apart. And maybe if they have a healthy season, they can turn it around. But I have some doubts because that team just felt like it was in shambles last year. Next up, the Denver Broncos. They are going in the right direction. They have their quarterback of the future. And as long as you have that, I think you're going in the right direction. Bo Nix has been a stud so far. Now, I'm not sure how much he'll get better. I'm not sure how much potential he has necessarily, but they have a good amount of picks. They're building things. They had a stellar free agency. They brought in the guys from the Broncos, Greenlaw. They brought in the safety Fuaga, I think was his name. Might have gotten that wrong. They brought in Evan Ingram. And then if they can just add some more solid receivers and a solid running back to this team, that offense will be lethal, and that defense will be much improved. Don't be surprised if the Broncos make a good run next year. Probably won't be any more than a wild card team with the Chiefs in their division, but they're definitely trending up in the right direction. The Detroit Lions. Ooh. I'm going to put them in potential dynasty. Now, everybody was soured after last year, and it really did feel like if they were going to start something, that was the time. Because they had everything they needed, but it just didn't work out. They lost in the second round, the first game of the playoffs for them. But I still think this team is hungry. I really like Dan Campbell. And even though they did lose their two coaches, I think they can just replicate what they did, hopefully. And if they win the Super Bowl this year, it's easily a potential dynasty. Because this is a team with all the pieces. They've built everything out. They have Jahmyr Gibbs. They have a solid defense with Aiden Hutchinson anchoring it. If they can get a more elite quarterback, I think that would be the next level for them, even though Jared Goff is not bad for them at all. Green Bay Packers. This one's a tough one. Well, let's discuss it first before we place them. So, it's either right direction or the window's wide open. I think they are going in the right direction because Jordan Love is your franchise quarterback and you're automatically in that tier if you have a franchise quarterback. And I think they do have a good team. They're building pieces. They brought in good free agents. They're always a team that has really good trenches. They just need a number one receiver, and I feel like they could elevate to the next level. I think last year was more of an off year. I think they'll be a lot better this year. I do think the window's open for them. I think anything can go their way. They got Josh Jacobs, a few good games in the playoffs, and they're making it to an NFC championship game. They're making it to the Super Bowl potentially, and they got some star power on that team too. So watch out for the Packers. Next up, the Houston Texans. Last year was really weird, but I still think they're going in the right direction. They have their franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud. I really like their head coach in DeMeco Ryans. I think they're bringing in more defensive pieces. They got rid of Laramie Tunsil, which wasn't great, but I think just to have a team that solid with a coach that's that good and having your franchise quarterback, you have to be in the right direction. And plus, they got some young receivers that I like, including Tank Dell and Nico Collins. And yeah, I think they can continue to build on that and really hopefully become an elite team in the future. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts. Feels like they're going to be forever mediocre. They took a swing on their franchise quarterback. It did not work, and now they have a competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Not great. It could be a lot better. And then you look at the rest of their team, and you don't have any other like A-plus star talents on that team. Even like Dallas has that, and they're still mediocre, but Indy doesn't have anybody. They have Jonathan Taylor. He's not as good as he used to be. That the rest of that offense, I mean, it's like Michael Pittman Jr. and then Alec Pierce. I don't love their offense. And then on the defensive side, Laiatu Latu is a bright spot. They got some other guys in the secondary that I like, but I think they're mediocre. They need a quarterback to help them, and they just don't have that right now. Speaking of mediocre, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do think they're better. I like Liam Cohen. I think he'll lead them in the right direction. I think Trevor Lawrence, if he can figure it out, he can be a really good quarterback in this league. And but they just haven't shown it yet, and they've been pretty mediocre as of late. But I'll put them in limbo because I think Trevor Lawrence can be a franchise guy. I don't think he is, to be honest. I mean, he really did not play well last year, and he's being paid a lot. But at least they have their picks. At least they have somewhat of a future. And if they have a good class in the draft, I think they can bump up. Next up, the Chiefs. They're going right into potential dynasty. I don't even need to explain that. We'll move on. It's not fair, guys. At least I didn't get the three-peat. Next up, the Chargers. This is a good example of moving in the right direction. You got your franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. You got your head coach in John Harbaugh. You got your style. You got the ground and pound. You're bringing in guys like Najee Harris, but you are losing guys like Joey Bosa on that team. You're getting a little older on the defense, which I don't love, which is why their window isn't open yet. I still think they need to bolster that defense, bolster that O-line a little bit. But, yeah, I think they're definitely moving in the right direction. I mean, you have your franchise quarterback and your franchise left tackle. And, yeah, I mean, and then they got some good pieces on the outside in Ladd McConkey, but they need more of that. So, I do think they're moving in the right direction, and I might bump them down below the Broncos. But Justin Herbert is a top 5, top 6 quarterback in this league, which really helps a team like the Chargers. LA Rams. The window is wide open. With the addition of Devontae Adams this year, with the already having Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, you have a top 10 quarterback in the league in Matthew Stafford, and that young defense is ferocious. You got Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and then in the secondary you got guys like Cam Kinchins, who's really good. I'm a Rams fan, and I'm feeling pretty good. I think we got pretty much all of our draft picks now, which is something we've never really had under the Sean McVay Les Snead era. And I really think this is something the team can build on, and I think they can go for it next year. I think this offense with Puka, Devontae, Kyron, it's going to be a scary group, and I think it's something that teams won't want to see when it comes to playoff time. So, yeah, the window is wide open for them. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders. They do not have their franchise quarterback, although Geno Smith is really good, and they're just becoming a competent organization again, which they have not been in a long time. Bringing in Pete Carroll is a move I really like. I don't think he's going to be their head coach for 7 years or anything. I think he's just going to come in here. He's going to set the culture right, and he's going to bring in good pieces. So I think this is a team where, under the management of Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and all those guys, are going to be able to build a competent roster, and I expect them to be a 9-8 win team this year and then continue to build on that. And then maybe you can find a franchise quarterback and pair him up with Brock Bowers, who's the best tight end in the league right now. I'll say it. He's better than Travis Kelce. And yeah, you got a lot of pieces on that team, including Max Crosby, that you can build around. So I really like the Raiders' future, and they are going in the right direction. Next up, the Miami Dolphins are forever mediocre. Tyreek Hill wanted out for a little bit. Tua, if he gets one more concussion, his career's over. I don't like Mike McDaniel as a head coach. I think he's really just not necessarily the greatest at managing players, and just he's good at calling plays on the offense. I don't think he's the greatest at managing the game. I think you could do a lot better. And I don't love any of the pieces on their team. I mean, Jalen Waddle's good. You got Tyreek Hill for I don't know how much longer. He might not even be there next season. You've got some guys on the defense like Chop Robinson that I like. Jalen Phillips is a guy I like. Jalen Ramsey for maybe the next 3 years can play at a decent level, but I just don't think they have enough pieces to really be that great. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings. This is tough. I'm going to put them in the right direction at the very top of that tier because we don't know what they have with J.J. McCarthy yet. I can't say the window is wide open when we don't know if their QB1 can compete. Although that team was elite last year with Sam Darnold, and I didn't think it was a fluke, but they went to LA and they got destroyed against the Rams. So I think this is a team where they definitely have the pieces, they have the coach, they have the best receiver in the league, maybe the second best behind Jamar Chase, but he's definitely up there. And then you just have a bunch of other solid guys, and you got a really good defensive coordinator. So yeah, I think Minnesota's definitely moving in the right direction. I just can't put them in windows wide open when you don't know how good your quarterback is. Next up, the New England Patriots. Yet another team going into the right direction because you have your franchise quarterback in Drake May, and you have your future head coach in Mike Vrabel, who I think is one of the best head coaches in the league. And you're willing to sign the money now. You're bringing in good free agents like Milton Williams, like Robert Spillane, like Harold Landry, like Carlton Davis. You're really bolstering that defense. Plus, you have the fourth pick in the draft where you're probably going to get either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and you're just going to continue to build that team that already has a few good pieces like Christian Gonzalez and Drake May. But they're starting to rebuild, and I think they're really moving in the right direction. Saints, first one to go into this tier, but they need to tear it down. They do not have any cap at all. It's really terrible where they're at. They don't have any future pieces. They don't have their future quarterback. Their best piece right now may be Chris Olave. They're just a team filled with a bunch of guys who, on paper, the team should be decent to compete right now, but they aren't, and they have a terrible cap. At least they have their picks. They pick, I believe, 9th this year, so you maybe can do something with that, but I don't love where they are right now. The New York Giants are forever mediocre. On paper, I kind of like some of their pieces. I like Kayvon Thibodeau. I like Brian Burns. I like Malik Neighbors. They got those pieces. They don't have a quarterback yet. even though they do have the third pick and they can draft quarterback there or trade up to find one, I still think it's just a team where you don't have enough pieces, you don't have confidence in your head coach, and I just think it's a team that over the past however many years, really since that Super Bowl win over the Patriots, have been mediocre. They haven't been able to find organizational stability, and there just isn't enough pieces on that team to really truly compete. Next up, the New York Jets. I'm gonna say they are. They're in limbo because Aaron Glenn's a really good head coach, and I like that hire. I think their GM will do pretty good, and I think they have a pretty good amount of pieces. And on paper, this team should be a lot better than they are, but they just sucked over the past 2 years. I know they had Zach Wilson 2 years ago and a crippled Aaron Rodgers, but I think with a team that has Sauce Gardner, Dexter Lawrence, no, not Dexter Lawrence, that's the Giants, sorry, Quinnen Williams, you got guys like the Florida State kid, Jermaine Johnson, you got Will McDonald, who's good, you signed DJ Reed in free agency, and then on the offense, you got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and you have some future pieces like Olu Fashanu and Elijah Barrett Tucker on that O line. I just feel like it's a team that should be a lot better than they are, and I wanted to put in right direction, but they've just been forever mediocre and in limbo, and I can't put them all the way up in right direction after a good head coach hire and bringing in a few pieces, because this is mainly the same team they've had last year. Eagles, potential dynasty. I mean, this defense that Howie Roseman has built, it's scary. Nobody wants to see it. And they got the offensive pieces too. They got the A.J. Browns. They've got the Devonta Smiths. They obviously have Saquon Barkley. And then you look at they got the best offensive line in the NFL. And then you look at the defense, and you got guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You got guys like Cooper DeJean, Kenyon Mitchell. You got guys like, I'm forgetting his name. The linebacker that did really good last year. Can't believe I forgot his name. And then you just got Nolan Smith on that defensive line too. Zach Bond's the guy I was thinking of. You just have so many pieces on that defense that it's scary. And you have your franchise quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And a system that works with your ground and pound. So, I mean, yeah, they can definitely win it the next year or the year after that. Or just really, they have a wide open window to win the Super Bowl every year the next 5 years. They're probably the team with the best future in the league right now, other than maybe one other, which we may get to later. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Tear it down. Just tear it down at this point. They brought in DK Metcalf, which is a step in the right direction. But if Mike Tomlin doesn't show anything this year, you know what? I'm not going to say they need to tear it down. I'll say they're in limbo. They need a quarterback really bad. Really, really bad. And if they don't have that, they're going to be mediocre. They're going to be in limbo. And I think it's a team that's been the same the past, 9 years? It feels like not same players, but just the way they play. Grind out games. If you're going to win, you have to win like 17-13, 20-14. You have to win low-scoring games. And you don't have a good quarterback. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. They're always around 8-9 wins. Always above 500. Never make it past the first round. They had a couple years ago where they started off like 10-0, and it was looking real good. But, of course, they fumbled at the end of the year, and they couldn't do anything in the playoffs, just like the Steelers every year. So, I mean, they really need to find a quarterback, and I think if Mike Tomlin's unwilling to do that, and if he doesn't turn him around sooner rather than later, I think it might be over for him in Pittsburgh. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. This is another team that is in limbo. I think they're high in limbo, but I mean, bringing in Sam Darnold, trading away DK Metcalf, I don't love those. And then I think having your head coach, who's I think he's good. He's a good defensive mind, um, but he's not proven yet. And you don't have too many pieces on that offense. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba's really good, and Cooper Cup's really good, but they play similar styles, so I don't know how that's going to work in that offense. I like Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and then that defense, they have some good pieces there. They got Byron Murphy, but I don't think it's a team that's necessarily moving in the right direction. I think they're kind of at the same spot they were when Pete Carroll was leaving, and they may be able to make the playoffs as a wild card or maybe win that division with the 49ers getting weaker. But I think it's definitely they're more in limbo, is what I would say. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers. Tear it down. They lost everybody in free agency. And now you're looking to, in your future, paying $60 million to Brock Purdy, paying Nick Bosa a ton of money, paying Christian McCaffrey a lot of money for a running back who's never playing, and you have Brandon Ayuk who's coming off a torn ACL. George Kittle's getting older. Your whole team's getting older. I think they just need to accept at this point their window is past and they need a rebuild. Whether that's with Kyle Shanahan or not. They just need to rebuild this team because it has been rough as of late. And I mean it's weird to say because they've been so elite over the 2020s so far, but they've made it to 3 Super Bowls, or maybe 2, maybe it's 2 or 3 Super Bowls, and they haven't won yet. They've made it to a ton of NFC championships. They always seem to choke under pressure, and now most of those teams are gone, and you have a bunch of old guys, and you're paying a Brock Purdy, who I'm not going to say he's a bad quarterback. I'm not going to say he's a game manager, but he's not an elite guy who your franchise should look. He's not going to elevate a franchise, is what I'm trying to say. He's not going to, with his traits, be able to single-handedly give a franchise X amount of wins just because he's there. He needs a good team around him, and San Francisco doesn't really have that right now. Tampa Bay. This is interesting because they're right in that right direction. Window is open tier, but I think I'll put them in the right direction because I don't think they're necessarily in title contention right now, but I do like where they're going. I think Baker Mayfield's a really good quarterback. I think they have some good pieces. I think Liam Cohen is no, not Liam Cohen. I think Todd Bowles is a decent head coach. I think keeping Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is huge. They got a really good offense. I really like what Bucky Irving was doing last year. And then on that defensive side, you got guys like Antoine Winfield that you can build around, and they just got a real solid group. So, yeah, I like the Buccaneers, and I like where they're going, and I think with a couple moves, they can be in that title contending group. Unfortunately, they lost in the first round last year because they had played the Commanders, who were really good. The Titans, they are forever mediocre. They do have the first overall pick this year. I don't have any confidence that they're going to make the right decision. What I think they should do, and I made it short on this, but I think they should trade down with the Giants, get a nice haul of picks, and then take either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, whoever's available there. And I feel like they're going to take Cam Ward, and I don't have any trust that Brian Callahan and that Tennessee coaching staff can develop Cam Ward into a good starter. He still has some kinks he needs to work out, like his footing. He needs to work on just locking in sometimes. But I just don't think they have any pieces either. I mean, their number one receiver is Calvin Ridley, and then it's Traylon Burks. That team's rough, kind of. Other than that, Will Levis is your starting quarterback as of right now. They have a decent offensive line now, but it's still not the greatest. You paid 4 years, $82 million to Dan Moore, a guy who was terrible in Pittsburgh, and now he's making $21 million a year in Tennessee. I think that was an awful contract, and they don't have any pieces on that defense I like. So I think they're just going to be mediocre, even though they do have the first overall pick this year. Finally, for the Washington Commanders, this is exactly how you build a football team. They have a great young quarterback who they can build around, and they realize that. So what did they do? They got the pieces, they got Deebo Samuel, they signed all the guys they needed to, and that team is a real title contender now. And they're really scary. They got their quarterback of the future, one of the most dynamic players in the league, and I just think they got a lot going for them right now. They got one of the best OCs in the league, and Cliff Kingsbury. I think that Dan Quinn's a great culture guy, and I really like where they're going. So, yeah, there we are. All 32 teams. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. And comment down below who you think has the best future in the league, and if you want me to do any other videos like this. Comment if you have any ideas. All right.